Next question comes from, which one should we go to? How about Jamie Selig? Where's Jamie Selig? It's over here. Okay.
How in Judaism are we meant to deal with anxiety and stress?
So the question is, how does Judaism advise one deals with anxiety and stress? Raise your hand if you would say that you feel stressed on a regular basis. Raise your hand if you say you feel anxious about things, about the future on a regular basis. So that's nearly the whole audience. I can put my hand up and say I do as well. I think it's a pretty human thing to do. Yeah. So everyone obviously has differing levels, and differing levels depending on the experiences in their life, depending on day-to-day experiences. What would you say is advisable?
Okay, so let me say something. First of all, there's no verse in the Torah where you'll say, here's how you deal with anxiety and stress. We have to be a little careful. So when we say Judaism, what we're probably going to mean is how Jewish texts, which do sometimes speak about topics like this, what are the sorts of themes that emerge. But I'll tell you from my own experience. I do find today's world is definitely a very stressful place. You go back a few hundred years, the biggest stress was if the crops didn't grow that year. That could be very stressful. But once there was basic food, you had to worry perhaps there could be a military conflict. But if there wasn't one on the cards, life was what it was. Today, the world moves very, very quickly. The human is designed around living in small clans. Our natural emotional sensitivities and sensibilities are to relate to a relatively small number of people. In today's world, especially a world where we're online all the time, the level of anxiety increases. We're under pressure to do well in school because there's a lot of competition around the world for the jobs. What were once upon a time only Western jobs, today there's there's tens of millions of kids in Asia that are learning English to compete with your jobs. That puts stress on you. The government's now got to raise the standards so you stay ahead. That's tough. Social media has a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff to it, but it is stressful. We're stressed all the time about how people are thinking about us. There's a lot of stresses placed on us. Plus, the emotional structures in the Western world are not as strong as they used to be, right? And the anxieties that come within families and within complex things are also worse than they were. So there's a lot of pressures put on people. What I would say is as follows. If you're looking for Jewish answers to this, what I would say is in Hebrew we do have one concept. And again, this may depend on a person's belief system as to how easily applicable this is or not. But the principle that a lot of our trouble that if in the end we have what we call bitachon, which is trust that in the end, it's going to work out okay. A deep religious idea is that in the end, God's going to make the world work. And sometimes we stress about things that are not really our problem. Like many people get very stressed about the state of American politics right now. Now, quite frankly, we sometimes have arguments or debates. There's really not that much we could do about it. We're not going to vote in America. We're not about to start a major political campaign unless you are. And therefore, it's one of those things where just you hand it over. Let God worry about that one. You've got a lot more to... But in general in life, one of the principles of bitachon is that if we do trust that God's going to make the world work out okay, that what we've got to worry about is what do I need to do? If I'm afraid of something I'm scared, it's causing me stress. So let me ask myself, what God would you want me to do right now? In all probability, it's to take a step and do something about it. If I'm afraid about something going on in a relationship, confront the person and speak to them. Fear is one of the biggest generators of anxiety. And fear often comes because we hallucinate things. We worry about things that either aren't there or we have nothing that we could do about them. So what we work on in Judaism, we try to work on bitachon, on trusting God and asking ourselves more deeply, what would God want me to do? Now, what about a person who struggles in belief in God? I think you could try to apply relatively similar principles. You could try at least to understand some things you can't deal with. But you could say, if God was there, what would God want me to do? Because what God would probably want me to do in most situations is love other people, is take responsibility for things. And I try and do this. I try and do this personally a lot, right? I try and do this, thank you. I try and do this if a stressful situation's coming up. I don't always succeed in doing it very well. But I had actually this week a very stressful situation. And when I was doing well, I was actually saying to myself, God, what do you want me here? What do you want me to do? And so you can relax, use meditation, use whatever you want. And it's amazing how you get these sort of intuitive answers that are different than your stressful answers. And it's okay. I don't need to be afraid. I don't need to, if it'll go wrong, it'll go wrong. Nothing I could do about it. If it goes well, it'll go well. My job is to be loving and kind to this particular person in this situation. And let's see what I can do. And it's quite actually interesting. The less stressed we are in these situations, the better our responses often are. The less we're powered by fear of what could go wrong, the more we do things that are intuitively better, actually, and that we make better choices and people react differently to us as well. So look, that's a broad approach. It's not a click your fingers answer and just do it. It's something people have to work on and try. But hopefully these are things which, if we can try to do more of, try that sort of vision. What would God want me to do in this situation? Do I need to worry about this? Is it my problem? Is it something just I can trust God is going to get it okay? That doesn't take away from taking responsibility, but I think those things can help to lighten the stress burden and the sort of imaginary fears and the things that we carry around, or the incapacity to act when we should act, and put us into a much healthier state of mind. That's something I'd say, I think.
Okay, great.
To stay up to date with the latest JCV content, if you're on YouTube, click subscribe below the video and the alarm bell. And if you're on Facebook, click the like button, and under following, click see first.